In Hattiesburg, thanks for joining us for this Wednesday afternoon briefing on COVID-19 in our community. Today we'll be going over our regular test results. We'll be talking about one testing aberration and some other testing insights. We'll talk about some more testing opportunities for those who need them, some very welcome non-COVID-19 news for our city, and of course our regular act of courage. Today's numbers, these are system-wide numbers for all four of our healthcare organizations. We were asked at our last briefing, why we give the system-wide numbers for these organizations that are outside Forest and Lamar counties. And the truth is that when it comes time for people to get health care, when it comes time for them to seek hospitalization, and if God forbid they need the ICU, they're coming to Forest General. They're going to take up capacity in our hospital and our ICU, and that's why we give you these system-wide numbers, because these are potentially the folks that will need to be taken care of by our health system. So right now, as of today, we've had 10,433 total tests. 1,107 have come back positive. Of course, that is not just Forest and Lamar counties, and those are not all active cases. 8,638 have come back negative, and of course, we have 683 tests that are currently pending. Right now, in both our hospitals combined, we have 39 people who have tested positive for COVID. That's up just a little bit, and it's up over the average over the last 14 days. In the ICU, we have 20 people. That number has gone down due to some sad news that we'll share with you. That's up over the average over the last 14 days. And if you look at kind of how this charts out over the last few weeks, of course, since about the third week of April, we've stayed between about 35 and 41 when it comes to hospitalizations. We did have an increase in the ICU toward the end of last week. That number has fallen, but really kind of stayed steady under 25, and that's welcome news. Totals per county right now: 438 people in Forest County have tested positive since this began. 205 folks in Lamar County have tested positive, bringing our entire metro area total positive cases to 643. We did have kind of an aberration, a rare thing that happened on Tuesday. Yesterday, when the numbers came into our emergency management districts, it had Forest County as -7 new cases, which means that taking back 7 people who had tested positive and been attributed to Forest County, while Lamar County had a very unusual jump to 24 new positive cases, which has not happened since this began. And so after both of our emergency management districts dug into that with the Department of Health, and Lamar County dug in, we realized that several people who had tested positive with a Hattiesburg address were incorrectly attributed to Forest County instead of Lamar County. These are worked out on a daily basis between the Forest County Emergency District and the Lamar County Emergency District, but they had stayed in the Forest County column in terms of total positive tests. And so Tuesday's -7 for Forest County and +24 for Lamar County did not imply that Forest County had 7 fewer people with COVID, or Lamar County suddenly had a rush of 24 new positives. It was really just a data reconciliation from over the past few weeks, where some cases had been put in the Forest County column that should have gone in the Lamar County column. But regardless of county, all of these cases are within the Hattiesburg metro area, which is why we tell you to be concerned. And so, while we figured that out, those numbers are now, again, after factoring that in, are 438 for Forest County and 205 for Lamar County. Again, 643 for the entire metropolitan area. The 5-day average, this takes into account, the reason we use a 5-day average is for situations like what happened yesterday, where you had one county's numbers go down while another county's went up, and kind of using a 5-day rolling average of new positive cases kind of helps iron that out and distribute that evenly. And so we did see the number, of course, in Forest counties go up to over 20, in the entire metro area up to 25. In terms of 5-day new rolling average. Lamar counties started to spike yesterday when they got that +24. But again, as we add more days to that 5-day rolling average, you'll see that curve start to kind of flatten out a little bit. One thing that we haven't reported on, but we feel we need to, just so you recognize how serious this is and understand that there are families grieving right now, is we've had 32 deaths in Forest County and 4 in Lamar County, so 36 for the entire area. And we've had 5 deaths in the last 2 days, and we send our best wishes and our sympathies to those families who are grieving. 19 of 32 deaths that we've had have occurred in the month of May, so this is serious, and we need to be mindful of what we wear and who we're around, and protecting ourselves and protecting other people. Some insights. I know that we've often asked, what is the number of recovered? As we explained last Friday, the figure of recovered is kind of just an idea on who has survived. because to be recovered in the CDC guidelines, you have to take 2 tests at the end of your COVID sickness, and you have to test negative both times. And because the COVID test is a bit invasive, you rarely find people who want to come back after they're well to take 2 more COVID tests to prove clinically that they're negative. And so what Hattiesburg Clinic does is they have kind of an inside 14 days and outside 14 days. And so those who have tested positive within the last 14 days in Forest County, that number's at 165. Outside of 14 days, which means take out the people who have tested positive during the past 14 days, take out the number of people who have died, and 241 are outside that 14-day window, which this is kind of a very basic, crude measurement on who has likely survived COVID-19. So that's the numbers for Forest County. Lamar County, they've had 78 people who have tested positive in the last 14 days. Again, this is a very imperfect estimate. And then 123 who have tested, who were outside that 14-day mark. Some other testing insights that we've learned: 25% of the new positive cases in Forest County that have happened in May have come from long-term care facilities. We know this just based on the jump in the long-term care nursing home figure in terms of positive cases, but 25% of all the new cases in May in Forest County are from long-term care facilities. We've also learned from people on the ground that many are in the same household or the same family with someone who has already tested positive for COVID-19. And of course, we've also seen increased testing, which it seems to imply that when you test more, you're probably going to find more positives. And here's kind of a list of how the test numbers have increased over time. And again, these are total tests. These are not positive or negative. They're just total tests taken. Week of April 27th, 1308. Week of May 4th, 1510. The number went up again last week as we added those drive-through testing opportunities to 1683. And we expect that number to go up again now that we've brought on C.E. Roy as a kind of an ongoing testing site on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And so the increase in tests is a good thing, because we're going to find out and see later that's part of our reopening strategy. Our goals: protecting vulnerable populations, people over the age of 60, people with underlying or chronic health conditions, preventing overrun of our healthcare system by slowing the spread to make sure that when folks need healthcare, they can get it, and our hospital system is at or below capacity. And finally, we want to prioritize public health as we reopen while giving the private sector space to operate creatively. 4 factors that will guide our reopening: widespread availability of testing. We've made a lot of great progress on this. Wearing of masks, watching our own data, and listening to all voices: healthcare, business, listening to your questions and concerns on social media. All those things guide us as we go forward and reopen our economy. Some testing opportunities. Yesterday, Semrai was in Perry County. Tomorrow, they'll be in Seminary at the Seminary Family Health Center. If you're in Sumrall, or if you're in Raw Springs, or you just want to drive up to Seminary and get a free test with no screening in your car, you can do so tomorrow from 9 to 1 at the Seminary Family Health Center. Also, if you're in Hattiesburg, this is our second day from getting some testing opportunities at C.E. Roy. Of course, we ran out of tests on Monday after 70. We increased capacity today to 90. But we'll be open every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at C.E. Roy Community Center. That's 300 East 5th Street from 8 to 4. And you can come and get a test. You don't have to have symptoms. If you just want to get a test, you can do that there for free. Some very welcome non-COVID-19 city news. Today, we broke ground on Fire Station number 9 on Highway 49 at the intersection of Irby Road. This has been a recommendation from the State Rating Bureau since we maintained our Class 4 rating back in 2011. Over the last 2.5 years, a lot of people have worked really hard to get this project to where it is now, which is under construction. And it's very meaningful today, especially during a dark season that's often shrouded in disappointment and fear and a lot of sickness, that the Hattiesburg mission, the Hattiesburg idea, the Hattiesburg spirit of going after things, of going after big things remains, and that will guide us as we move forward on to healthier days. And finally, our act of courage. I'm super excited to share this with you today. Of course, all of our schools are finishing programs, and a lot of folks are graduating. But I want to draw your attention to one graduate that was brought to our attention this morning from Southern Miss. Jane Jones is in the class of 2020. More than 60 years ago, Miss Jones followed her heart and dropped out of college to marry her boyfriend who was going into the military. She had her family's blessing, but they made her promise that she would eventually complete her studies. And so on May 15th, at the age of 82, she earned her bachelor's degree in English from Southern Miss. And if you think about all of the going back to school, first of all, but also having to finish this last semester in an online platform, That is a testament to her tenacity and perseverance and just that Southern Miss grit. And so to Miss Jones, we congratulate you on earning your degree, as well as all of our other graduates. So as we go into the rest of the week, remember to wash your hands, take care of yourself physically and mentally, wear a mask if you go out in public, do only what is essential, and remember you're safer at home. I encourage you to be kind to one another and to have courage.